Good morning from the ENCA Money Desk. Now, there's no need to scramble for eggs for your Christmas baking this year. The Agricultural Department says there will be plenty available as it ups imports. Now, there's been widespread concern over shortages due to the bird flu outbreak, but government says it's under control and 70% of farms are still producing chickens and eggs. It has also opened import permits for poultry products from several countries. And this will add to the poultry already being imported from Brazil, the US and Argentina. The egg production cycle is expected to normalize early next year. Now let's unpack the latest developments with the South African Poultry Association's Abongile Balarane. Abongile, thank you so much for your time this morning. Now, the Department of Agriculture's statement is encouraging given the recent challenges, but does it ease concerns around the egg issues, or should we still be worried?
No, thank you. Good morning, and thanks for this opportunity. Now, if we look at the situation currently, indeed, the spike, in terms of the cases for the avian influenza has started to decline, which is what we're expecting. This is the normal pattern of this, disease. But if you go back in terms of the production, we still have about 6 million layer hens that have been culled and about 3.5 million that are affected or suspected to be sick. Now, what that means is that we're still expecting the 30% of our local production to be down or to have been lost. That will take us about, let's say, 17 months to recover that production. Now, what has happened in the short term is that we did indicate that earlier on there will be high possibility for us to import a lot of products like the liquid and powder eggs, which are used for industrial purposes. And then all the remaining eggs that are available or produced in South Africa will then be channeled to the retails or to the supermarkets for the consumers. That is what has been happening in the market at the moment. Yes, it does give a bit of a comfort for the festive season ahead, but the problem is still there, and we are recovering slowly as we are expecting.
Now, Abongile, could you give us an indication of the extent or the financial impact thus far of the avian flu outbreak on the industry?
We've done a bit analysis up to so far because as a producer, when you get affected by this avian influenza, you are put in quarantine, and you need to, if you test positive, to cull the birds, destroy the eggs and the feed. Where we're standing now as an egg industry, we're estimating anything close to 2 billion rands. That will be the cause or the financial, value of the disaster that we faced as an industry.
Now, back to the imports, the department says they don't dictate from the other countries as long as biosecurity risk assessments are done. But given the current outbreak in the country, is this enough? Specifically, we don't want more infections this side. What do you think?
Now, in terms of the biosecurity issues, it is a key for government to ensure that whatever is imported into South Africa basically matches the local production, and also it does not come with compromised I'll say quality. Now, if you look in terms of also the regulations of the South African government under the regulation R345, as a producer, you've got about 40 days from the day of lay to ensure the egg is packaged, distributed, and consumed in South Africa. So we as an industry also, we're not against importation of eggs. However, anything that has to come to South Africa, it has to match the local standards that are applied to the local producers.
Now, just for interest's sake, eggs, for example, from the US undergo a washing process that depletes the natural protective coat and are therefore kept refrigerated. Are there special precautions we should take with different eggs being imported from different countries?
At the moment, we haven't seen any imports coming from the USA or also from the Brazil. So how they store their eggs, it is indeed they get refrigerated to the temperatures of plus to 4 degrees as they're transported, let's say, to South Africa. When they get to South Africa, if you will notice, most of our eggs, we don't buy them close to or to the fridges. They're at the ambient temperatures. So that shift from cold temperatures to our local temperatures at times it does affect the quality, which is why they deteriorate quicker. And that is why we've got the 40-day rule to ensure that that product must be consumed within 40 days in South Africa. So it is extremely not easy also to bring eggs from, USA into South Africa.
Now, Abongile, with all the imports now being open, as we do have this crisis in South Africa, how do we ensure and prevent dumping and making sure that our local industry actually has the opportunity to recover as soon as the avian flu outbreak is over?
We've been watching the borders of the country. We've got food inspectors all over the country looking at what comes into South Africa. Fortunately, at the moment, we haven't experienced any sort of a dumping. And I must say, the current regulations that are set by government, they do give some, bit of a comfort to the producer and also to the consumer of the product they get, on shelves. So we have at least, strong, I would say, regulations that really, play in favor for the producer at the moment.
So egg supply will be better over the festive season now with these extra imports. At my local grocery store, there are eggs available, but they are quite expensive. What can we expect regarding egg supply, specifically over the festive season, but also in regard to egg prices?
Now, let's just be clear on the imports. The imports that have come to South Africa at the moment, those are fertile eggs for hatcheries. So that they are used, to develop the chicks, and then thereafter the point of lay, then they become a fully grown chicken. That gives us the eggs. Those are not for human consumption. Now, what we have now in South Africa is that if you look in the beginning around September, where this avian influenza was at its, let's say it's its peak season, there was a bit of a panic buying, I think, around the consumers. And at the same time, the normal supply and demand, drove the price. We've seen the price reaching the ceiling at a time, which has then also led to a consumer not to be able to afford, the eggs. Now, that has also created, I would say, a good situation for us because there were stocks now piling up. Now, those stocks now are suddenly released, in a form of promotion. That is why you've probably seen some retails. There are some promotions for eggs. Now, the prices of eggs always will rely on what happens, in the trade, dictated by the supply and demand at a particular time. So definitely in a short run, when there are still shortages, unfortunately, there's going to be a bit of a pinch to the consumer of the steep prices. But as time and the situation improves, you will start to see also again prices declining when we get back to our normal production of 27 million hens.